Bordering Ethiopia to the north, Samburu and Isiolo counties to the south, Turkana County to the west, and Wajir to the east is Kenya's Marsabit County, the largest county in the country by some accounts. The last time I was in Marsabit was 3 years ago. I traveled through Kargi town that was struggling with the cancer menace that had claimed a life in almost every home. I set up base in my corner, which seemed to be the epicenter of the killer disease. I spoke to relatives of those who are affected by the scourge. The county is choking from the killer fumes. When you travel through the northeastern region of this country, the landscape here is not only an amazing piece of art, but also a potential tourist attraction site. But here lives a population of people who are constantly on the move in search of water and pasture. They rarely have the time to sample the beauty and splendor of this region. But something else is hunting them down, the scourge of cancer.
I got some interest to know how many people also died before I came here. And as I was jotting their names down, I came up to a total of 64 patients. And we have 3 who are now living, surviving, 2 who had breast cancer and they had the operation, the removal of the affected breasts.
Asunta, who had been running the government-funded health facility before moving to the far-flung North Hall region, told me her figures accounted for the period of our very short stay here. By the time we were leaving Kargi, graves dotted the dusty outpost town 70 kilometers from Marsabit County. (2015) and we returned to Kargi in search of cancer survivors. It is a tedious undertaking. The families of the cancer survivors are nomads. They have since moved on. But something stands out under the sweltering heat of the dry, barren land, home to 15 villages. The graves of those who have fallen to the scourge, whose origin remains a mystery. The images of death here in Kenya's dry north came to national limelight 3 years ago when we captured the full extent of this killer disease that had been quietly wiping out entire households. Images that are now frozen in time. The youngest cancer patient died days after we left Kargi. The youngster had been diagnosed with the cancer of the stomach. Unable to eat or swallow food, the residents here just watched him cry. Watched the young one waste away until he could not breathe anymore. He died. What exactly is the cause of the cancer that wipes and continues to wipe hundreds of residents of Marsabit County? Residents here believe the cancer must have been as a result of an oil exploration gone wrong. In 1988, a highly powered government delegation landed in Marsabit County with what sounded like good news. The government announced the discovery of oil deposits in the expansive Chalbi Desert. An oil exploration meant 2 things for the residents here: work and the opening up of the far-flung, forgotten wild north.
Hopefully by early next year.
Ukuri Atani, the current governor of Marsabit County, says he was around when the oil exploration news spread across the land.
Whitish stuff. And we are being told when they do it, some of the locals are given leave to be away from that region completely. And we are told, the people who are burying those are people who are protected. protected in white dress, like, nuclear protective material. Whitish, everywhere is covered. Then, the shovel digs the ground, bury some white substance, and then put plastic sheet, and then return the earth, the soil, over this. But, as these people were living, most of the communities around that area, they thought, these people have buried a treasure that can be used for anything. So they went about excavating, removing those plastic materials, and started using for construction of, huts, even using as a ceiling, like replacing their homes with ceiling material. A lot of things were happening. And incidentally, this is the area that, we've had crisis in terms, to date, the number of people dying are so many.
Those who took part in burying of what residents here described as white substance contained in small cans will later complain of the peeling off of their skin. Some reportedly died.
We were able to take sample of water from a number of these places, from Kargi, Maikona, Kalach, and Northward, and all these places. And we took to some laboratories in Germany with the help of the priest in charge Northward, Father Anthony. But the sample showed a lot of contamination, particularly from the waste products, the feces, the manure. But it was difficult to establish if it contained carcinogenic material.
Indeed, another research conducted by a government agency recommended the closing of all major wells used by residents for domestic needs. The residents were to find alternative water points for their animals and for personal consumption. But to date, 8 years on, dozens continue to fall ill. The numbers are rapidly rising and at an alarming pace.
I'm very worried with the turn of events. We are burying people daily. But now, it's like a common disease. They say, so and so has the problem of throat, can't swallow. Then they will tell you, what's the point of taking him to hospital? Even when they discover, in a hospital that you are being told that, you have a problem with the throat, the first thing that person will tell you that, please take me back to my home. I know this is my last.
Indeed, returning to Karigi 3 years later, the crisis is still persisting. The number of those falling sick is growing. Trapped under the broken-down Manyata is Elikise Ali Nolaso. A mother of 4, Nolaso was ferried here from Nairobi last week. She's the latest victim of the cancer of the stomach. Nolaso can hardly sit up or even sip the only thing she has now, water. The pain from the swollen stomach betrays her determination to stay alive. Sadly, Nolaso's story is not isolated. Just a few yards from here is the grave of Naingisa Nolaso, her co-wife. Naingisa succumbed to throat cancer. Sadly, it was Nolaso who has been taking care of Naingisa until she passed away. Nolaso told KTN News she was later moved to several hospitals and doctors informed her she was suffering from stomach ulcers. The diagnosis was wrong. Nolaso's cancer had got into a critical stage.
سبتال لي بيجي سبتال بورا مني قال سكرني دك قاد جو حنجفو لي بيبي ما دقر لك تعليم تو حرك برتعليم.
The husband, Kulamo Nolaso, says he just buried his first wife a few months ago. The husband was hoping for the best as he feared for the worst.
Mele.
Anasema kuna usaidizi alipata. Ile usaidizi kidogo alipata ni juzi wakati.
By the time we got to Marsabit, the family called us and informed us that Nolaso had died. Nolaso, we were told, was buried next to her co-wife, whom she had taken care of when she was sick. Her death, adding to the grim statistics of a village that feels alone and forgotten. A few kilometers from the main shopping center, we go looking for Milgitis Marakole, a cancer patient who had to undergo several surgeries to contain the rapid spread of the killer disease. Her manyata was still in place, but Malgit was missing. The last time I was here, I was met by a determined cancer patient trying to stay alive. 3 years later, I return here and I'm told Melkiti passed on. Her 3 children have been given up to the neighbors for care. The husband moved from this place to another town in Kor. Life has never been the same for the family. Malgit's cancer ate into her face and hands. Doctors rushed to stop the cancer from spreading by grafting part of her body. In the process, disfiguring her face. Gisewes Marakole, who nursed the sickly Malgit, says Malgit will not stand the stigma and pain that came with her condition. Malgit will not survive the night. And here lies the remains of a woman who fought so hard to stay alive. When we last spoke to her, Malgit was planning to move to another town with her children. She died without getting there. The husband, Adot Esmarakole, says things have not been easy for the family. He has been a father and man on the move. In my corner, the story of the cancer epidemic is captured in the eyes of the 18-year-old Wario Atheno. Wario left my corner 2 years ago after her mother, the sole breadwinner, succumbed to breast cancer. In 2013, the mother told her daughter, who was 12 years at the time, that doctors had promised her she will pull through. One of her breasts was cut off to arrest the spread of the killer disease. Aride did not make it. She died.
Mara ya kwanza wakati ilianza kwa upande ya matiti. Alafu matiti sasa ilianza kuvimba vimba, ikawa na kinonda, so ikawa ikaelekea penetrate mpaka huko ndani. So baadaye kutoka huko wakachukua wakaenda kwa wazee wengine, madaktari ya kienyeji, wakasema ni ugonjwa mwingine ya kienyeji, lakini bado tena ikawa anazidiwa.
The mother fought her breast cancer for almost 1 year. Aride died in her sleep months later after granting us an interview. She was 55 years old at the time. The son says his younger sister was taken in by the county ward representative for care. They had to move from their manyata in my corner town. But Aride is not the only documented case of cancer in my corner. In 2013, residents here were putting the number of those who had died at more than a dozen. A nurse at my corner health center says they are treating symptoms of a condition that is slowly taking a life of its own.
Yesterday we lost a patient. She had a throat cancer. She has been having it. We've been just managing her, just giving her treatment, like cough therapy only. That's the only thing we can do for her because we have no other treatment for cancer. And we are just managing her, just giving her palliative care. After we treating them here for cough, we refer them. They don't go as fast as possible. So they just stay with the disease and the disease progresses. And when they get there, it's very late. So they get there when it's in stage 4. There's nothing much can be done. So they just come back here for palliative care and we watch them die because there's nothing else we can do for them. Yeah.
Residents here feel the county and national governments know what is killing them, but they're doing little to stop the spread of the killer disease.
Tunataka serikali intervene. Hii watu watakufa, atamalizika na tumejigopa. Serikali angalie hii maneno, ilete wale ambao wanafahamu maneno hii yote. Ilete hapa on the ground na watu waone sasa kiini ni nini. Pengine watu iko kitu wanasababisha chakula na maji hatujui.
Is it meat? Is it water that is killing residents of Karigi town in their hundreds? Or is it the mysterious substances buried here close to 3 decades ago that has turned an entire community into a scared lot?
We've communicated severally, not once. We even reported it to the chief, and chief in turn reported it to the guys at the county. So there's nothing has been done.
When KTN News visited Karigi 3 years ago, the government promised to send in a team to Karigi, Maikona and Bubisa to try and get to the bottom of the scourge. The government did begin a project of pumping water from kilometers away, an indication that maybe the problem lies in the water. But the government has been non-commit on what exactly is behind the endless deaths here.
A material. It was not easy to establish. 2013, when I was elected the governor of this county, I approached the deputy president's office. One of his advisors, who is a Japanese, they were Professor Ino. We had a good discussion, and he said he's going to look for grants to commence a study on what could be the one causing it. Was forwarded to the Ministry of Health, and KEMRI was given the grant to do the necessary research and find out why there's an upsurge of cancer. Unfortunately to date, we've not been furnished with the report. We've been in touch with Kari, but we've not gotten response to date.
Was there a time frame?
Yeah, it was ought to have been concluded in like 6 months. But we are almost now 2 years, and nothing has come out of it.
When we contacted some of the lead experts from the Medical Training Institute, KEMRI, they told us their teams are still on the field. The national government officials here and the county government say they do not have any teams currently on the ground. It's not even clear if the teams ever visit those affected.
And we are even tired of people from government. They are coming here asking us, taking the history, asking us of everything, but nothing is happening. It seems that we are not Kenyans, and we don't know why.
Asunto kept records of those who have died and still struggling to stay alive, moved to a far-flung area. The exact number of the new infection is not known. The number of those who have died at home is equally unknown. But residents here say they are burying their own in dozens every month.
Idadi ya watu ya Maikona wale ambao wamekufa na ukimwi ni kidogo, na wale ambao wanakufa na kansa ni zaidi. Kila mwaka watu nakufa. Tunadhania tutakwisha. Hata sisi tunadhania sasa family tumefikiria kwamba mama ile my mother in law amekufa na kansa. na bibi yangu ambao sasa anashika hiyo mama kila siku, she's very close to her, amekufa. Mimi nadhania hii kitu inafuata family. Tunafikiria sasa ni family. Na tunasema wakati tunakaa hivi duniani, tunasema tutakuisha tu na kansa.
Nolasa can only wait now. His 2 wives are gone, and he now fears that maybe the killer disease will come knocking on his Manyata once again. For Wario Athano, his world has collapsed before his own eyes, without his mother and the sister still under the care of the county government. It has been a lonely place for the 18-year-old boy. He can't stay out in the field because he will starve. Gisewa is pondering his next move. He can't stay in Karigi because life is unbearable. His children are now under the care of his relatives. The father of 3 told us no one is listening, no one cares. It has been 3 years now since the government promised to get to the bottom of the cancer scourge in Marsabit County, but nothing has given.
Maneno hata ya relief hata tunadhania. Mahindi wakati yanaletwa, mahindi mbovu zaidi. Mbovu kabisa. Lakini watu iko njaa wanakula. Na hiyo mahindi tunasema anaweza lete madhara.
Experts are warning that the cancer story is not restricted to Marsabit alone. They believe that if it's water, counties like Meru are likely to fall victim because they share the water table. If it's meat, then livestock from northern Kenya is finding its way to the city. No one in this part is safe from the tentacles of cancer that continues to threaten the lives of thousands of residents here.
This is a problem. We are losing people in hundreds nowadays. Like almost 4 out of 5 that we lose, that we bury over the weekends in a number of places. Almost 4 out of 5 are related to cancer disease. And a lot of it is to do with throat cancer or abdominal, anything related to, gastro.
For now, 3 years later, 3 years after we first highlighted this unfolding tragedy, this county remains the lonely desert of death. Denson Sarigo, KTN News.